I wanted to talk a bit more about going through the pain because that's something that I feel like it's inevitable in life, sadly, or
Yeah.
luckily, because there's a lot that can come from it. Can you talk a bit more on that? Because you literally in in the introduction when you were introducing yourself or you were answering the first question, you mentioned that you went through this like really hard period for 7 years, but that was only like a few seconds that we heard about it. But living through those 7 years, that's a different story.
Yeah, let me say this. In 2015, we buried my father. Um, I ended up getting married. I ended up getting divorced within that same year. And this is someone who I had known for 14 years. We had dated many, many years. I lost two relatives. I lost a close friend. I got laid off from my executive job. All of this happened in 2015. And that's when my world kind of was thrown into this turmoil. And that all of that rejection in 1 year is what caused me to spiral. And ironically, it didn't happen, it happened subtle. And this is why where I want people to really be careful. I didn't just get depressed by all of this stuff because everything was happening all at once, right? And just fell into this depressive state. No, it was kind of really slow over a period of time. I just knew inside I didn't really want to take another corporate job. I was trying to fight at that time to save my marriage. Um, and so with that, it wasn't that all of a sudden I'm just this big ball of mess, crying every day. And no, I was still functioning, but I knew something wasn't right inside. I knew I had felt different, like something was broke. But what I didn't realize is that that had always been inside of me. It just manifested because of all the rejection I faced in 2015. But the core of it circled all the way back to that rejection piece from my father and losing my drive, my motivation, because when he passed, there was nothing else more for me to prove. I lived my life being determined at everything that I did because I wanted to prove something to him. And then when he passed, there was nothing else less for me to prove. And see, that's why, motivation is temporary. That's why I needed to find my purpose, because finding my purpose, that's not temporary. Now I know what I've always done, what I've always felt from my past. I can execute that in my present, and I can affect the outcome of my future by executing in the present because I know me now. Being a rejection overcomer, being a strategist, being a injustice equalizer, and being a truth teller. Those are the four pillars that makes up my purpose. My Go
Yeah, go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. No, I had
Oh,
like
I was
next
just going to
question. Can
say
you?
that there are titles. There are titles to all four of these things. Being a rejection overcomer, that's kind of my origin story, right? That's how I've made decisions all my life. Usually it's some traumatic event that happens with you that causes you to make decisions a certain way. And that's me. That's my origin story is being a rejection overcomer. Okay. My natural ability is that I'm a truth teller. I always seek the truth. I always tell the truth. I admire and respect people the most when they're truthful. I do not admire people when they're untruthful. That's a very high value of mine. That's just who I am, a truth teller, right? My acquired skills is that I am a strategist. I look at things really quickly, put them together, and come up with a solution like that. And that comes from being in a household with a parent that you don't want to make upset. So you watch, you learn, you observe, and you respond accordingly quickly. And you've done this all your life since you were a child. So, of course, when I got to the corporate world, I saw things, I watched, I learned quickly, and I responded appropriately. And that's what helped me to propel. That's the strategy part that I got from my father, right? And then the last one is what you call your pull passion. Not just passion, because the definition of passion is a barely uncontrollable emotion, but you want something that's pulling you towards it constantly. And for me, I fall in the category of injustice equalizer, meaning that I always want to see things fair for people. I'm always taking up for people that are at a disadvantage. You know, and it's funny because understanding this now about me, I look back at my childhood, I look back at my teenage years, I look back at the corporate world, and I looked at how I've supported people and have done many, many things because I wanted to see things fair and equitable. Right. So understanding those 4 things about me now, I understand my purpose. I understand who I am and what I am and what I need to pursue constantly. So I'm not relying on going through that painful stuff of, you know, now that my father is gone, that I don't need that as motivation anymore to move forward and propel me forward.